Well, welcome everybody. This would help over there. Got it right today. Wonders never cease to amaze. All right, we're going to do a couple little small natural edge bowls. First order of business is we're going to sharpen some tools. So we'll head over to the grinder. Turn a little light on might help to go with it. Work on this freehand grinding long enough, I might get it figured out. Doing better. It should work. Get rid of a little bit more heel. On that one. And that one. Um, Except for the spindle gouge, so I might as well sharpen that first. I need it a little bit. That should be the tools that we need. There's our little block of wood. I guess we'll just kind of give it the eyeball measurement kind of a situation. So it's 4.5, so 2.25, somewhere thereabouts. Should be about the same going the other way. Somewhere in that vicinity. We'll go over here and get a drill. And a drill hole. Might as well mark them both. I had two little ones to do. This is out of a log. that was in my garage for I have no idea how long, a very long time. I'm gonna say 6 or 8 years maybe. In the logs, just small. So, in all reality is it should be completely dry, ready to roll. At least that's my thought, anyhow. The bark seems very, very solid. This one still has a little crack in the end. So we'll have to see what we get. They're both about the same dimensions. Well, it's a little wider that way. So somewhere thereabouts. We're going to make it round anyhow, so I'm not really that overly concerned about it. Although, we could possibly, this end has some cracks in it, so if we go back more in that end, over there, means we'll take a little bit more out of off of one end than the other. It is dry, so chances are we're going to end up running the dust collector because it's probably going to be very dusty, I would assume. Already dusty. The walnut's not necessarily my friend when it comes to the dust. So that probably definitely will be a dust collector kind of a job. We'll do the other one first. Do this on my workbench rather than on the bed of the lathe. Wooden mallet. Drive the drive center in. Nice and solid. Bring up the live center. A little bigger tool rest than that. This one's kind of a little bit out of whack in a way. I use a pencil tonight instead of my fingers. Pencil moot doesn't say ouch when you hit it. I want to go just a shade. Small shade that way. For now. See where we go from there once we get it started turning. Makes more sense if we come back to there though. If we go to there, need to move this one over a bit. Wrong way. That way. Should give you a little better view of what we're doing. To change one thing. Make sure we're the same. Yes. That should work. Did zoom out, but a bit more on that guy. Help. Bowl gouge. First thing we're going to do is make this into a sort of a cylinder. Make it round. Start off with the best speed there is, very slow. These are small. They're not going to be dramatically out of balance or anything. Maybe. Well, it still has square corners on it, so we'll keep its speed down. Almost looks like the tool rest is a bit on the close side. All right. We're going to remove that anyhow. Add a little closer to our work. Get rid of them corners. It's still a little bit out of balance. Not dramatic. Should be pretty close to brown. Oh, still a little square spot. This is the one I moved to try and get rid of that crack. Like I say, these are going to be very small. Small and shallow. Little bites off the end, that way it doesn't blow things out of the end. Could stop and come back the other way, but still a tiny little flat spot there. I'm going to leave that alone for now. Missed a little bit of the pith right there, so that's going to be, get a flatness bottom out. So that'll go away. So we'll get our bottom all fixed up, flattened out. Always helps to tighten the tool rest tight, not just half tight. Get rid of some of this corner right off the bat. Also going to give me an idea whether it's too deep, which it probably is. It probably only wants to be about 2 inches deep. We got to get totally rid of the pith. Not really necessarily worried about it cracking, but so that's gone. Little tiny hint of a crack right there yet. I think we'll be okay. I think we might try something really weird and different on this one. Might just put a tenant out here, grab it, and do a hollow a little bit out and flip it around on. I can't. I don't have never mind. I don't have the sharp jaws on. I was thinking I did. So that'd be an awful big foot for the wall. I think we go smaller. It's still going to be plenty big for that size of a bowl, but we can do something a little different with that. I really think it's still just a little bit too deep for the size of it. And I think we're gonna have to put the, we're gonna have to have some dust collection here, unfortunately. You can just see a cloud of dust rolling up off of it. So we don't want that. I don't want that. Put it that way. Still a little hint of a crack right there too. So we got to get rid of everything we don't want. Okay. So remark the tenant again. Grab our spindle gouge to make our tenant. Our tenant, which is going to become a foot eventually. Go back and see whether we're getting the shape that we want. These little ones are almost, actually are harder. I still didn't get quite to the top there. Now we did. So it's good. Reshape this tenant just a little bit. Make it a little bit more of a dovetail. Curve right away from that foot. I think that ought to be good enough for the outside. Plainly cut, ready to sand. Just thinking what I want to do is, I think I'll just angle that foot in a bit. Something like that. Clean up the bottom a little bit while I'm here. Give it a little undercut. Not quite ready to make that small yet. Might as well just up and sand it while I'm here, though. Slow it down. We'll also spin it. I will also spin it in reverse because it works better for dust collection for me. Can't quite get into the tenant, but we'll live with that. That was 180. From there, I think we're going to clean up this area in here a little bit. It's too fine. I need some 180 in there. I'll use a cut out of the sandpaper in there. Get right into that corner. Should be good enough in there. I want to get in there as close as I can. Two more grips to go. Oh, that's good enough. It's pretty much ready for some finish. Probably have to do a little touch up. Probably gonna have to touch up. I'm not sure whether I have that tenon the right size for that. We're gonna remove most of the tenon. Not the time to be a hero. There's no point trying to take that down to nothing. At least that's my opinion on it. Just as easy to saw that last little bit off. Much safer rather than going the whole way through or having it break off. How are we doing tonight, Al? Working on some little itty bitties tonight. This stuff should be dry. Been laying around forever. We're going to assume it's pretty dry. It's dry enough that it, you notice the dust collection hose is there and will stay there. Yeah. Well, like I say, I think we had that discussion before. I'm about an hour north of you. So, yeah. I don't know that he even made, I'm going to say, didn't he make 20 degrees today? Would be my thought. At least the last I looked, it was still only like 17 or 18. So-called flexible hoses are not as flexible as you want them to be. I'll come in from that side, I guess. Yeah, it's, I don't know. I guess I guess it's what you call winter time. What are you gonna do? Did you get much snow down there this morning, or any snow? This walnut here is like a lot of the other walnuts. It's got bark is probably at least a half to three-quarters of an inch thick. Actually, barely through the bark. Oh, yeah, that's about what we got. About 2 inches. Pretty much most. I don't think hardly any of it really even stuck to the roads. I didn't go out anywhere today. I didn't have to shovel the driveway because it sort of melted and created a bit of an ice situation for me on the driveway. As I upgraded my driveway several years ago to a concrete driveway, which is nice. You know, it's a very long lasting driveway, but come wintertime, the snow does not melt on it. The full rest is just a shade on the high side for the center part. Just stop and make sure that we're cleanly cut. Leave this about 3/8 of an inch thick. So far, so good, I guess. If we can get down a bit. Yeah, it probably could be. It probably can be around here. Like I say, I really didn't venture out too much today. I like a little lump. Went to the grocery store. For me, the grocery store is like half a mile away. I left a lump in there. Darn it. Didn't come back up quite fine, huh? Oh, there you go. I make too darn many tops myself. Actually, I think I'm gonna have to get the scraper out because this. It's a wonder. The bad thing of making small is in order to make this curve, I'm gonna hit the sidewall. So we'll just get the scraper out. I wish I only had two tops to make though. I just got yesterday, the day before, one of these last couple days. I I start with some baseball bat reject blanks, so they're like 2 3/4 diameter, something like that. So I take them down to about 2 inches, which seems to be a nice size for the tops. So I did that the other evening, I guess it was. But I got about, I think I counted when I was done, it was like 30 of them that I got ready. Because the farm show's coming for one, and the people at the gift shop that we're in seem to love them. And it's like I don't go a week without somebody buying some of them. So I do keep pretty busy making tops. I think that's good enough. Now let's see if we can get her fingers smacked. I still like the power sand on the inside. Switch over to a soft pad though. To do the inside. And we'll probably also go back to 120. On the outside, I was able to start at like 150-ish, like that, I think it was. Inside, I always leave some mark. Knock my pad off. I didn't want to chase that dust collector either. It's a wonder I didn't. And we'll do this by hand out here. I actually can do the whole thing that way too. See how it cooperates. We might end up doing it that way. That worked. Yeah. I'm not going to say anything about that one because I've been there, done that a couple times. Actually, the other day, I'll show you here in a minute. I was making a bunch of Christmas ornaments. And I got a little carried away on the thickness of them, the bottom of them. And actually, it left loose while I was sanding, which was kind of fun. I heard the sound change, and I'm like, oh shit! Cut the lathe off, took a hold of the end of it, and it had two pieces. And you're supposed to learn by your mistakes and not make the same mistake twice. And I think I did one or two in between, and right back and took another one because this is going sort of the little acorn style ornaments. So this is what the bottom of it looks like. And of course, right down, it's easier to show you that way. So the bottom of this thing, the bottom of the drill hole's down in this area, and I got the curve a little bit too quick on two of them. So I went right straight through them right in that area. Kind of a pain in the you-know-whatski. The bigger pain was that I wanted to have about 12 or 15 of them ready to go for this coming Tuesday, which will be the Woodcraft store meeting. I was going to give them away as Christmas, as sort of a Christmas present for everybody, and kind of disappointed when I messed up two of them, two of the bases. And when I had enough of them come upstairs, lo and behold, I got an email saying, "Oh yeah, we're not going to have a store meeting this month." I was like, "Oh, well, that's lovely." So now I'm going to have a whole bunch of these ornaments that I have to find somebody else to give them to, I guess. It's one thing I don't get too wrapped up in making because they don't, giving them away, people appreciate them, but they will not spend the money to buy one, or at least buy more than one, put it that way. And I made about 3 or 4, something like that, for in there to the gift store, and I think I've sold one of those. And I don't make them expensive. I think I only have $7 on them. I mean, that's a reasonable price for them, but the question is, are they dry enough actually to finish them? These won't matter if they move, unlike the little Bradford pear one that I did. Well, it's going to need a little tiny bit of attention. That tenon could be just a shade bit smaller. It still leaves a teeny tiny, 4 teeny tiny little marks in there. I think we're going to answer our question now. I think we'll put some finish on the inside while it's in this position. And then we'll wait to do the outside later, another day. That way I can put, if I wait to do the outside for another day, then I can just up and put it on the vacuum chuck. You can fix up the tenon, take the rest of the remains of the bottom tenon off, all in one shot. But I can't do that until this stuff fully cures, because it would definitely, I don't need the extra noise, definitely would suck the super glue right straight through, without a doubt. These are going to be a little bit darker than what I had anticipated, because when I looked at the log, there was some really nice white sapwood on the outside. But since it wasn't very big to start with, I ended up cutting more of it off than sort of what I anticipated cutting off. So I kind of pretty much lost all the white sapwood, which is, to me, what would really set one piece like this off. But it's dry enough to finish, so that's a good thing. Definitely pulls the dirt out of the walnut. Get it dried off, cleaned up. That's pretty good. And you can see it pulled a whole bunch of dirt out of the pores. Looks like it did all right. Didn't set up too quick. That would be a dead giveaway if there's still moisture in there, because the super glue and moisture is what sets the super glue off, really. So if you try and do it on something that's too wet, it doesn't work so well. Little shot activator. One done, one to go. Thought I had that set that was going to not leave a mark, but the jaws have to be really pretty close. There's the inside. Nice little itty bitty. These actually, if you're selling things like that, the little itty bitty ones actually sell better than the big ones. My thought process on that is because they're, I price them by the size, so when they're small, it makes them a whole lot cheaper, less expensive. This one's got a crack in the end of it too. This is the one I sort of tried to cheat and offset it to one side more than the other side. Also is definitely has a much higher point on one side than the other. Try and do something about that. So that'll make it wobble pretty good. This means we'll have to go a little slower. Not a real big deal. Just means we have to be a little bit more patient. That's not too bad, actually. That's surprising. Dust collector back on. Dust off a walnut is very, very nasty. See what we get out of this when we get to that point. Still flat. Cracks. This one's going to be smaller than the other one. We got to get below those cracks for sure. while I was cleaning up in the garage or reorganizing a bunch of stuff, made a, I guess you'd call it a rack. I would call it a rack to hold those 27-gallon black tubs that you buy at all the home stores, BJ, all the places have them this year. And while we were at it, I had some shelves, metal shelves with some wood on it. I had a bowl blank out there. For some reason I cut it as a blank. It's round, probably about 9 inches. It's ash. And I had a date on it, which is one of the things I try and do all the time, but it had a date of 17 on it for the year. So it's dry and ready to go. I'm just trying to I sort of taper these down a little bit once I try and get rid of some of this up here. I guess I should have stopped a little sooner. Got such a weird point sticking out. I'll try and move it over just a shade more. Even at that, I'm not even gonna true up the outside more yet. Because I want to keep the diameter as much as I can. Big hairy looking cracks there though. I'll get this bottom in balance. Okay. It's a flat area for a tenon. Crack. So take the corner away and see what we get. Then a crack that's running across there. There's another one coming up there. That'd be a really shallow bowl if I have to go down to that far. Hopefully not. One went away, the other one's still just a shade of it sticking around. Oh no, there's the big one. Hmm. Rather discouraging. That thing there is deep. Quite deep. Yeah, I should. Gotta have something done to show, though. This is gonna be a pain. Still definitely has more bark on one side than the other. Still have that big hairy crack. Mm. Well, I guess I just keep shrinking it down. Nope. Mm-hmm. I think I'll even do the break the rule and go the wrong direction, see what I can do. I want that to tuck down under, more so like that. Probably still gonna get rid of the crack though. Just a hint of it left. It's right there, and it wants to crack. It wants to take a piece out for sure. Still just a tiny little hint of it. if I don't get rid of it, success. There we go. Now we got rid of the crack. Not left with a very big bowl, but see where we're at on our foot. Doesn't need very big of a foot, so it's a pretty small bowl. Also probably means that I can't get in and go just a shade smaller. Looks like my little scribe line is still there. There, I think we can get the scraper out, and so that I can't get right up tight against that. I think that'll make a cute little bowl. It's gonna be nice and shallow, for sure. I wonder if my skew will go in. I might just try that rather than changing handles. That didn't do it any justice. The skew does not have a burr on it, so they work sometimes as a negative rate scraper, but more times than not, they don't really work very well for that. Unless you would put a burr on it. Will almost work. A little bit of disturbed grain up there. I'll switch to the 3-inch disc to SanDisk. This evidently I wasn't spinning quite fast enough when I went up across there, so I left a little bit of bark sticking up. Nothing that won't go away, but I use a 3-inch pad rather than a 2-inch pad. Actually, these are 3 and 3/8 and 2 and 3/8, but it'll make that go away pretty quick. At least I hope it will. Yeah, that's the wonders, kind of the wonders of bark. It's pretty soft. Make sure. Bark is quite thick. In there as best as I can as I go. That'll work. Now we can get rid of some of this 10 tons of stuff down here. Knock off that sharp corner to go with it. The only downfall of Laguna lathes is you gotta be very careful with the banjo. You can see quite often I don't get it tight enough. try and be creative. Give it a little Morse taper, which might be too small already. That'll give me a centering point from back there, if it works. There's where that crack was at. Right there's why I don't play around too hard. I played longer than what I should have. It's not where I cut at. Alright. The same token, that actually is the right, sort of the right size. So that'll actually center it back up for me eventually. Not too often a bit of a mistake ends up being something worthwhile, but in the case there, it actually is worthwhile. Doesn't really matter. I have the adapter to put on the chuck. Put the chuck on, put the adapter in, and I can flip it around and grab it with a vacuum chuck. I'm going to assume you're waiting on something to dry, some glue to dry or something. Oh yeah, that one will not leave any marks at all. That's less than a 16th of an inch gap, so that'll be perfect. I won't have to mess with that one at all. Give it a tiny little bit of a sand, and it'll be good. Yeah, as I say, I'll just stop and look, make sure what I'm doing. Yeah, so I thought that's what it appeared to be. For me, what I do is I put my right hip up against the bedways so that I'm looking straight into this natural edge part. So that I can see, you can literally look left side, right side as you're cutting. It really helps to get it very uniform thickness. real quick way. It looks good. See whether we can get this one. Nope. So see whether I can get it without the scraper, but when I come back to try and pick up that cut back there where it's at, I'm going to hit the bark. And it stayed on this long. I don't want it to come flying off because I hit it. So I'll just do the very bottom of it with the scraper. Get used to using the traditional scrapers, and it sort of makes you lazy in some ways. Not a whole lot of room left. I don't quite have enough. But it was not quite where I want it right in that area. Which now made it worse, but that'll be good enough. I want to keep playing because it's getting, a tendon's not very deep, very thick, so I would say I'm probably down to getting very close to where that tendon's at now. Yeah, definitely. Don't want a little walnut funnel. Let's just do this thing. stop and take a peek. That's all right. Let me sort of like the other one. It's not going to be not very big. Nothing wrong with that part of it. Looking like it's sort of looking like it's fairly well proportioned. It kind of forced me to make it shallower, which is probably a good thing. One thing with the little ones, it doesn't take long to sand. A lot less area to sand on them. And that's that. Taste the walnut. That's the other half left me do it, so I might as well go ahead and at least put the finish on the inside of this one while we're here. Oh, oh man, now I don't know that I have the patience to do that type of work anymore. Well, I probably would. I'm messing around trying to teach myself how to carve with a knife, so that takes a great deal of patience too. Plenty of dirt comes out of these, out of the trusty old walnut. A little bit more goo in there. Suck out some more of the dirt. And we'll dry it off. Smooth it around, dry it off, get more of the dirt. Don't stick your fingers fast to the paper towel is always the good part. Should really have a glove on both hands, but I live dangerously when it comes to that. Won't be the first or the last that I stick my fingers to something. Just because it's set slow doesn't mean it isn't super glue, because it is. It will stick things together quickly, especially your fingers. It might not be quite as dry as what I think it is. Seems like it's set up a little quicker than it should have right there. Not the end of the world on that either. A little, tiny little bit of sanding with some 800 grit sandpaper if it leaves some lines or something in there. Zero marks on the tenant, which is really the important part. Yeah. It was just an optical illusion for me. So it's clean and smooth. Kind of a cute little bowl, I guess. It'll be cheap enough so somebody will scarf. That's one of the sizes that people like to scarf up. I don't know why. I never really understood totally why somebody would want something that small, but they seem to like them. I guess they're cute. They could put their, I don't know, ladies could put their little earrings in them or whatever, but let's see. That's small. We don't need the longer one. I'm gonna go ahead and finish the outside of this one here, hopefully. I'm gonna switch chucks for the job though. Get rid of this glove. These gloves are wonderful for protecting your hands from the glue and other things you might use, but definitely not something to use with anything spinning. They will grab a hold of wood and such things as that. That little tape to hold that baby on there. This time we're going to need a little piece of wax paper in there, just in case when I push this after I throw it in the chips. Yeah, that'll work. Because when I put pressure on it, if there's any glue in there, this is the first one. There shouldn't be anything left in there that didn't set up. But the day you say that is the day it makes an idiot out of you. The question is, spins close enough to true. Spins well enough, close enough to true that I can true up that tenant. Nobody will be any of the wiser that, unless you were somebody that was watching me do it, you won't know that it's not necessarily concentric to the rest of it. And this corner off a bit. That'll work. Of course, that's one that you can't see. And there's a high spot in the middle. That should take care of it. We could have a little decoration in there while we're here. Just a couple little beavers in there to make it look like you cared enough. Then we'll be able to get in there, sand up that last little bit. Put sand in there and use the, should be able to just use a disc sander from there. So we'll sand this tenon up a little bit. It was cut more than clean enough to just touch it, basically touch a little bit of 220 sandpaper to it. Not go any coarser than that. Same way in underneath. A little piece of paper towel, see if we can. Dust likes to stick in there, and it makes it, gives you that illusion that you didn't quite get it sanded where you wanted it to. And a little bit back the other way. Just a little bit. It's also 400 grit paper, so it's going to look different than the rest of it. The rest of it was power sanded, so it does show up differently. A little bit of 600. That should go up a little higher. Blend those two areas together. And for there, you want to be really, really fussy. You take a little bit 800 random orbit, especially in that area where I met those two together. But this is such a small piece, we'll just do the whole thing. Quick and easy like. Simple but very effective little trick to do. That was a Mark Soleil special on doing that. I'm sure most people look at that and say you're full of you know what, but it does work. It does work quite well actually. So now I can go ahead and finish the outside of that one. Let me go get a different glove. I at Harbor Freight some time ago that I needed gloves or wanted gloves and they were on sale or whatever, and I bought I normally use the ones I think that are 7, no, these are only 5 mil thickness, and they had some 7 or 9 or something like that. I'm like, I'll try them. Well, granted, they are thicker. They're also a pain in the ass to get on and off because they are thicker. They do last. I will give them one thing there. They do last a little bit longer, a little less susceptible to tearing as quick. It's 2 end grain areas first. It's going to soak up the most. This won't soak up a lot on the outside anyhow because the inside is already finished. So all the pores are sealed up. So whichever the second side is that you would do in this process, they'll take less material because the inside has already been done. So it can't soak way in, as far in as what it would if there was nothing on it, put it that way. Still soaks in plenty far. First go around in circles, making sure I have everything covered. We're still pulling dirt off. Not a surprise. We just want to make sure we get it as dry. We don't want to leave any laying on the surface. I also missed a tiny little spot. This will cause me aggravation for sure. Could cause me aggravation. Somehow I managed to get it way up there. But we're still in the time frame to where it has not started to set up yet, so we were all right. Definitely didn't want a little white line around the foot. That'll work. Little squirt of activator. Not absolutely necessary, at least for my climate. This time of year, though, it's pretty dry in my house, so that's why we're at it. I'll also just do the other one. Take the glove off, though. Get in here on our trusty little tenon. Round off the corner. Not quite enough pressure on it. Able to stop it just by sanding. check, make sure we got concave in there. I usually put lines in. I don't always put the lines in there. With walnut, it's almost a waste to try and do much of anything on the bottom of it because it's just so dark. I mean, the lines look all right, but the real challenge of the walnut is actually even, put your initials or whatever you would do on the bottom of it. My wife has some markers that she'll use for me, and oh, well, that's good. Spend all that time trying to get it right. You hope you don't go to the next step and find out that you just wasted a whole bunch of time and you end up with something you don't want. But that's another one of them scenarios that isn't the first time or the last time you'll do such a thing. I don't know anybody that's perfect in doing everything they want to do. I know a fair amount of people that would like to think they're perfect doing everything. That's that. I'll do a little 800 random orbit. We'll finish and we'll be done. Oh, almost done. Oh, yeah. Not sure what sandpaper I have over for the little, the really little disc. It's what I would use. It's what I use in the class to finish up. This is basically how I would finish a bowl in the classes that I teach. Would do this very same. They don't put a finish on it, but we generally cut the tenon off. If the blanks were small, then we could use. We don't have a big variety of, really no variety of chuck size. It's I think they're the 50 millimeter in the old Nova G3s, which I'd love to talk them into getting me something different, but they're like everybody else when it comes to a retail business. They don't want to spend money unless they have to. So until those old G3s actually crap out, I am stuck with what I got. And they don't have extra sets of jaws for them anyhow. So it would be nice if we would have a smaller set of jaws. Because one of the classes next weekend, or actually two of the classes next weekend, are the ornaments, the same style of ornaments that I'm making right now. And it would be a whole lot easier if they had jaws that were more like my little Vic mark there that goes down to about 1.25 inches, 1 3/8 rather than strictly like 1 3/4. Just gives you almost a little bit too much material to have to remove for somebody that doesn't really know what they're doing. But we'll get by. Going. Honey, you missed a tiny little spot twice. That'll work. Two little squirts and we're done. All we're left with is that tiny little knob to remove. So I could do that with the little disc sander. No, I don't too often actually do it that way, but we're going to do it that way tonight. This is being exactly how I would do it in a class. And it's not, I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing it this way, that's for sure. I mean, there's no need to run out there and spend hundreds of dollars more to be able to use a vacuum to grab a hold of something just for this reason. That takes care of that. If you wanted it to be really nice, just go across it with the grain, because the grain is running that direction. Give it a little sand with the grain. It's 220. You could do a couple grips if you wanted. You go from 220 right up to 400. And that last little bit out of there. Get the dust and dirt out of the crack. And it's pretty much a completed piece. Needs buff, but that doesn't happen until tomorrow or another day. Might as well do them both. Same procedure again with the grain. strictly overhead. You can tell it's where we're at. Here's the noise maker. And now I didn't have a drawbar in there. They're not drilling with it. Well, that's a success story then, right? That's always a plus on a Sunday evening. I like success stories. I'd call my evening a success too, to be able to basically turn out two little natural edge balls. So we'll go ahead and finish the bottom of them. We'll do them both at the same time. Wipe it on, wipe it off. Wipe the excess off. And that's really all there is to it. Just let it set. Let it set up, and probably, since it's so dry, I'll probably hit that. Just a little mist of activator. I'm well above them. And just let it land on them. That's all you really need to do with it. That's about it. This one actually is nicer in some way. To me, for me, this one, the one on my right hand on this side of me, is nicer than this one because it's shallower. A little bit better proportioned, I think. They're both kind of cute. I don't usually do anything with the actual top of the bark edge. I just leave it alone. I think some of this actually had a little bit of that lichen growing down in there, so it'll give it a different look for somebody. Let them sit for a day or so, and probably a day. I got a bunch of ornaments to buff, so we'll do all of them at one time. So other than that, I think that's going to be a wrap for me tonight. We'll call it a semi-successful night then. Is that right? Anybody have any questions, comments? Feel free. Otherwise, we are going to call it a day. Yeah, I think maybe I should clean the lens on my camera. Looks a little dusty. Better late than never, I guess. Now, until next Sunday, we'll y'all have a good week and stay safe in your shops or whatever you're doing. Till then, y'all have a